Good evening, everyone. This is Dave Spinelli from InteleTravel. We're starting just a minute early right now, and we've got a lot to cover, so I wanted to get started early. I've got a few things to say about InteleTravel first, and then we'll get on with our presentation. And we're going to be going over some great new tools that we've got from InteleTravel. Talk about that in a minute. I'm the Vice President of Industry Relations, and I want to welcome all of our InteleTravel agents to our interactive webinar. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy evening to join us here to help grow your travel business. Tonight, get ready to get more out of your partnership with InteleTravel. We've got a thorough overview of our new booking engine enhancements recently made to IntelliSearch. In this interactive webinar, you'll learn about our air, car, and hotel pricing, availability, and booking tools. We've got new inventory in there. We've got many enhancements and much, much more going on. So got a real good overview for you tonight. So now join us here every Tuesday and most Thursday nights for one of these awesome partner webinars where you'll get hands-on training from InteleTravel and the top travel providers out there. InteleTravel's preferred partners in travel. Watch for more upcoming special guest appearances from our travel partners or download our InteleTravel agent training app for exclusive access to our weekly preferred partner podcasts. All of this training is brought to you by InteleTravel. So sharpen your pencils and take good notes. But if you missed something or you want to see the seminar again, it's available for free whenever and wherever you want. Remember, all of these webinars are archived and available for replay in the IntelliTutorial section of your back office. At the end of tonight's event, there will be a live Q&A session together with our special guest. However, with so many attendees this evening, it's not possible to open up the phone lines without interrupting the webinar. Right now, everyone except the presenter is on mute. You can submit questions using the question box at any time during the presentation. The question box is found in the control panel at the right of your screen. For those of you on mobile devices or tablets, look for the question mark icon. At the end of the seminar, we'll read and answer as many questions as possible. Also, watch the chat in your control panel for important information from tonight's presentation, like website addresses or phone numbers that might get mentioned, plus other valuable InteleTravel updates and reminders. So now, I'd like to bring on the real expert, your trainer this evening, your technology development executive for InteleTravel, Mike Putman. Mike, he started his career 3 decades ago with a single travel agency. He grew that first venture into one of the largest privately held agencies in the American Southeast. Since then, Mike has acquired an in-depth knowledge of nearly every facet of the travel industry. In 1995, he founded one of the first online travel sites, 11thHourVacations.com, and built it into one of the largest online travel agencies, later merging with OneTravel.com. Mike later launched an industry-leading white label travel service, competing with companies like Expedia, ultimately growing this portion of the business to power over 6,000 private label and co-brands such as Discovery.com, Walmart, and the Travel Channel. Mike's last role was the president of Rovia, LLC. He developed this company into a global competitor, earning the World Travel Award for the world's leading online travel agency. Mike managed a team of 125 employees, and he grew their business to over $200 million. And now, without further ado, Mike has some very exciting information to share tonight, all about IntelliSearch. Mike, take it away.
Good day to you, InteleTravel agents, and thank you for such a kind welcome and introduction. Really do appreciate that. Well, today we're going to spend some time going over the booking engines, the IntelliSearch 3.0 booking engine to be exact. And so just sit back and relax. If you have any questions, you can submit those via the webinar screen under questions, and we will take those towards the end of the call. So just be patient. If you have any questions, hopefully we'll get you lots of answers through this webinar, but we'll be glad to handle questions afterwards. So write those down or log them into the system, and then we will address those at the end of the webinar. So as you can see, I am signed into InteleTravel.com. And before we hop into the engines, just a quick review of some of the other back office features. And again, sign up. The purpose of this webinar is not to go into depth into those, but while I do have your attention, I want to go over just a few things. And please make time to attend another webinar on the back office, where you'll get full understanding and complete training on your back office. But we've got areas here that are available for you that give you information about your personal website. We've got a view commission report, and this is a test account. Of course, there's not a lot of commissions in here, but this is where you can find the bookings that you have made, if you've been paid commission on them or not. It's a really nice tool. And the great thing about InteleTravel is the transparency. So you get to see where your commissions are and at what stage they are throughout the process. There's a nice CRM tool, and then there's also a quick start guide. So make sure, if you're a new agent, make sure you review this really thoroughly. This will help you get going in the right direction, as well as attending webinars like this. Education is what it's all about to be successful. Under the Education tab, there's information about InteleTravel University, the library, some educational events, calendar of events. So this calendar of events is really important because this will give you a guide as to what's coming up next for live presentations and webinars. So this is a great place to find a lot of information that will help you continue to grow your career and learn more about the benefits and the best ways to become a travel agent and to become more involved with the system. So as mentioned, we're going to spend most of our time together today in the booking engine section. So this is primarily under this tab, and you'll see a breakdown of listings. And I'll kind of walk you through these listings to give you some examples and hopefully some tips that you can use to have a better experience. First of all, as you guys know, who've been here a while, that we, back in April and May, we rolled out the IntelliSearch 3.0 booking engine. We're very proud of this product. There's been a lot of hard work and dedication that has gone into building this out, and this tool is built specifically for you guys. It's a custom build that I was involved with, and we've had a lot of success, gotten a lot of compliments. There's still some things that we're working on, and you know, as with anything as complex as this will be a continual evolution. So I don't think, somebody asked me the other day, when will this be completed? And I said, well, in reality, this is a work in progress. We're going to always listen to feedback that you guys give us and make changes. We're going to continue to add on other products which you can sell and hopefully make good commissions on. So this is all about you guys. And we're going to spend the time today just kind of learning a little bit more about how the system works and how to utilize it best. So we're going to start off in hotels. So with hotels, you can search a lot of different ways. As you'll see, you can search by airport code. So we can search GSP, as I live in Greenville, Spartanburg. So I could click on GSP, and that could be my airport code. Also can search on address. So the system knows I'm in the Greenville area. So as I begin typing, it gives me ideas of where places nearby that I might be looking for. You can also search by city, by zip code, lots of different things that we can search by. And then as you begin typing, if you'll see that we have this auto search feature that begins populating the names of the city codes. So one thing I would suggest, this is built, just so you guys know, when we begin typing here, we actually have an API with Google that helps us populate this field, and they provide services to us. And this location field, if you're on an older computer or if you're on a really slow internet, sometimes this will lag behind. So if you ever get into a position where you're typing something and you don't see a match, just take your fingers off the keyboard for a few seconds. We really designed this for the modern computer and quick internet speeds, and it will work. It just takes a little bit of time for your computer or internet to catch up. But once you do, if you'll just choose the destination that you want to go to, and then enter in a check-in date, enter in a checkout date, and the number of rooms that you might like to book. So a couple of things on this, on the number of rooms. The number of rooms are limited to 4, as you see. If you're booking, if you have a group that you want to book of, let's say, 20 rooms, this is not your best tool. Okay, this tool is great for probably 98% of all your bookings, but there's some things that the booking engine is just not well suited for, and booking groups is one. So you can use the tool to research and find what kind of prevailing rates there are. But if I was booking groups of 10 or more rooms, I would certainly suggest calling the hotel directly, or using some other group booking source, but probably not this. We limit the number of rooms that you can search for to 4, and that's intentional. But if you're using this for 99% of your business, which is probably individual travelers, you can just search by the number of rooms and select 1 or 2 or 3. Radius, this is really important. So what we do is, the way we design the search mechanism to work is, we put if you can think of a map of Orlando as an example, when we search for Orlando, Florida as a city, we're going to put a pinpoint in the middle of downtown Orlando, the most central point that there is. And then we're going to draw a radius, or is it a ray? My geometry terms might be a little bit off, but we're going to draw a line from the middle of that out either 1 mile, 3 mile, 5 miles, 10 miles, 50 miles, whatever you tell us. And then from there, we're going to draw a circle around that pinpoint. So that does become the radius, I believe. And then we're going to look for any hotels that fall in that space. Now, why that's important is that if you're looking for a hotel in Manhattan, as an example, right? So Manhattan is not, there's a lot of people there and a lot of hotels, but there's the space is pretty dense, right? So if you were to look for a 50-mile radius, you're going to find things, in Queens, you're going to find things, in New Jersey, possibly Connecticut, which are probably not going to be well suited for you or for your customers. There, you want to have a smaller search, a tighter circle, maybe even 1 mile in the Manhattan example. In cities like Orlando, if you got people going to Disney World, instead of Orlando, you may want to search on Disney World as the landmark and draw a circle around that. And there, a lot of people, I think it's always best to stay in Disney World if you can. But for those who don't want to, you might want to expand that circle, and maybe expand that circle to 10 miles. There's a lot of hotels in Kissimmee that are close by. It's a pretty drivable city to get to Disney World, and maybe you expand your radius. And then in other situations, I was in northern Scotland just a few weeks back on a golf trip, and there's not a lot up there. I mean, there's a lot of sheep and a lot of rolling pastures, but there's not a lot of density. So a hotel that might be 30 miles from where you're planning to go or spend time might be reasonable, even 50 miles. So that's why this tool has a variable. You don't see this on most sites, but we did it just for that purpose. So use that, use that well. And of course, as you extend and make that radius even wider, you're going to have more hotel opportunities. The tighter, the lesser number of hotels. And then we have the section for the number of adults and number of children. Generally speaking, I would not get too concerned about this. I don't change this. The only exceptions are when you're looking for all-inclusive properties where there is a per person per charge day. You would look to put these in, but generally the hotels charge. There's a flat rate charge that they charge for the room. And there's a maximum number of people that you can put in the room. But if it's 2 or 3, I just tend to leave it as it is. And then I'll click the search button. And when I do, what we're going to do in the background is we're going to look for hotels that meet that criteria. And we're going to search lots of different hotel companies. And we've gotten a lot of feedback with this new engine with InteleTravel 3.0 because of the wide variety of hotels that we've gotten and also the great pricing. So what we do is we package up, again, the search criteria that you provided us in the previous screen, and we send that out to these different hotel providers. We have relationships with Expedia, Booking.com, with Priceline, and there's several others which I won't go into. And what we do is we ask them for their best price back, and then we compare those in the background to show the best price that is available for that particular hotel. So we do some comparisons, and we only show the best price that is offered. And this all stays in the InteleTravel ecosystem, so we're not jettisoning you off to another website to book. You all stay in the same website, and then we sort out the financial part with whoever the provider might be. So you'll see at the top, we've drawn a map for you, and these numbers on here represent the hotels, and we can drill into this a little bit tighter to see where these hotels are, because sometimes in a larger display, these hotels would really be on top of each other. But then you can click on each one of these hotels and get more information, but you actually see where they are on the map, which is a really nice feature. Then in the main body, you'll see that we list all the hotels. The default sort, the way these are sorted, is by price from least expensive to most expensive, but you can choose to sort those by name, by alphabetical name, by rating, or even by highest price to lowest price. You'll see that in that circle of 10 miles, we found 204 results, and we're only going to show you the hotels that have availability. So if there's hotels that are sold out, they won't show up on the display. So this gives you a total of 204 hotels in that particular search. You can always go back and click modify search if that's too many or not enough, and you can change some of your parameters. Then we allow you to modify this search. So think of your results. You've got 204 results, and then as you change some of these filters, it's going to fine tune that set of results. So one thing you could do is say, okay, I didn't think I was expecting 204 hotels. That's too many for me to consider. I'm going to change this to 5 to hotels within a 5-mile radius. And you'll see by doing so, my results up here change down to 21. So I'm getting this search more and more focused by doing so. So we're going to scroll back just to show you how some of the other functions work. Then you also can search by hotel name. So if you know the name of a property, and in some cases there might be 2,000 results, depending upon how broad you made the radius. You can actually type in the name of the hotel, and we'll take you to that hotel. But if that hotel is not in the 204 results, then it's not going to show. Okay, so if you're choosing a hotel that's 15 miles outside of this pinpoint, but you only search 10 miles, it's not going to show. You'll have to do a new search. We also have star rating filters. So the default is set to any, But if you have a picky client who says, I'm only interested in 5-star hotels, then you can click 5-star and you'll see how the results automatically updated. We didn't have to do a new refresh there. But I'm going to click back to any to keep our search a little more broad because there's not many 5-star hotels in that particular search. And then we also give you the ability to search by facilities. But so by facilities are things that are there at the hotel. These would be maybe services, might be a different word that you could use. So if you have a family and they say, I'm only interested in hotels that have a pool, you click the pool button. Again, you see that that changes the results down to 170. And then you could say, but my client wants a pool and they want Wi-Fi, which that takes the results down to 115. As you continue to select these, of course, your modifications will change. And then we have board type. So board type means any type of meal plan. So you have bed and breakfast, you have and some of these hotels do provide breakfasts. They just don't break them out separately. Some brands like where was I? I stayed in Holiday Inn Express last week, and everybody gets free breakfast, and a lot of these kind of family brands will have that. But this is really referring to those that break it out as a specific bed and breakfast package. And then also there are some hotels as you travel into Europe and other parts of the world outside the U.S. that offer what's called a MAP plan, which is Modified American Plan. So you might want to write that down if you guys are taking notes. That means that breakfast and dinner is included in the package. So that if there was any hotels that had an MAP plan, it would show here. And then also any hotels that offer an all-inclusive plan would show here. So you have the ability to filter that way as well. And then taking a look at the individual hotels in the listing, again, we've got, so we've narrowed our search down to 115. So there will be several that will show on this page. And then as you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that we've got two additional pages of detail which you can click over, and that's how you can kind of sort through those. When we show you a property, we have these icons that show you what services or facilities are available. So if you roll over them, if you don't know that means Wi-Fi, that should mean there's a bar, restaurant, swimming pool, parking, pet friendly, room service. I didn't even know what that one was, but okay, that's room service. I bet that's laundry. Yeah, laundry. So these are some things where you can, if you're across the desk or on the phone with the client, you can quickly look at these icons, and hopefully over time they'll become notable for you, so you can actually hop in there and tell them what kind of amenities or services are available. If you want to get more information for the hotel or you want to book, you can click on the Book Now button. And as you'll see, we have a brief description about the hotel. If you click the View Details section, it'll bring you a larger view of the details. And then there's a carousel of room photos that we have available, as well as the hotel location. So this will give you more information, more in-depth information about the hotel. We're actually redoing this section too, to make it even better, to give you more information. So this page, there's a project in flight right now that's going on to help improve this, and really to give you better room details. This is one of the sections where we heard from you agents saying this isn't really quite enough information. We need more. So we're working on making that a little bit better for you. But as you see below here, we have different room types that we are showing the price for, and we have a description of kind of the room as it is. This is a standard studio at this hotel. Buffet breakfast is included, and it's a buy now, pay now rate. You'll also see this link for cancellation policy, taxes, and fees. So if you click on that, it'll take you in and show you all the different cancellation policies and fees. Then the next hotel room is a deluxe hotel room, and et cetera, et cetera. So this gives you a different way to shop for individual room types within a particular property. Now, booking these is pretty simple. You just click the book button. We go back and make sure the hotel is still available, and it looks like in this particular example, the hotel is not available because remember we're loading up real inventory, and we're buying this inventory, or we're holding it for a short period of time. But there's other people that are coming in and booking the hotels as well. So it can be that from the time that this is loaded, that hotel has actually been gobbled up or taken away. So I selected another room just to show you the easy checkout path, and you'll see here we just enter the guest names that you have. We recap the hotel, on the right-hand side to show you exactly what you're buying. And again, we've got this cancellation policy, which you need to make sure that you go over that with your clients before you buy on their behalf. It's a simple 3-step part. I'm not going to take the time to go through all these, but this first page, you enter your guest details. The second page is payment details, and then the third page is the confirmation that you would receive back from us. Okay, so that's a quick review of hotels. Let's take a look at flights. So a couple of things about our flights booking engine. This is a newly improved booking engine from what you had before. This system actually offers all the published carriers. There's over 900, as you can see here, of what we call published or legacy airlines that participate in the GDSs. But with the new 3.0 service, we also offer over 200 low-cost carriers and 70 air consolidators all around the world. And it's important to have these consolidators all around the world because in different markets, they actually have different local pricing. And there will be occasionally a time where you'll see a better price that comes from one of our consolidators that may be in the UK, or maybe they're in Australia. These different places that have sometimes specialized pricing, and we bring all those back to you in one display. We also charge, as you guys hopefully know, a $10 ticket service fee, and this fee also includes $200,000 worth of flight insurance for your clients, so that comes complimentary to them. And then the $10 fee is included in the search results, and of course, you also earn a commission on that booking fee itself. Several ways to search. You can search by round trip, one way, or multi-city. So round trip is going from point A to point B back to point A. One way is defined as going from point A to point B, and multi-city is going from point A to point B to point C, either back to point A or on to point D. It just gives you the ability to do a lot of different stops if you've got someone traveling to a lot of different places and they want to include it all on one airline ticket. So we'll do a simple round trip search, and I'm going to choose London as my place I'm going to fly from. And if you'll note, when I started typing London in, there's several selections, but you'll notice this one says all airports, and if you'll choose this one, this will give you the benefit of seeing all the different airports at one time without having to search them individually. London's one of those kind of special cities that has 5 airports, and so you can imagine it would take quite a bit of time to perform 5 different searches. So if you just use that global LON, then we will pull up all the different airports in that market. So, cities in the U.S. that are similar are Chicago has multiple airports, New York, Los Angeles, even Orlando has multiple airports. So you can choose the all airport locations in those markets and pull up the different ones. Or you can keep it tight just to 1 or 2. So a couple other things. Generally, the airlines today charge the same price for pretty much everyone. There used to be some senior discounts. There used to be some children's discounts. There's some of those that are floating around for international tickets, but generally those don't really exist so much anymore. You can feel free to fill these in with the appropriate number of people that are traveling. Infants on domestic flights in general, there's no charge for infants that sit in the lap of the passenger. They don't get their own seat. They have to sit in the lap and be accompanied by an adult. But internationally, they do charge a fee, and that charge varies, but it's oftentimes 10% of the adult fee. So you'll need to make sure that you include these if you've got any infants traveling with your clients. Cabin class, the majority of people travel economy, but you also can see business first, premium first, different cabins there. Maximum number of connections. So there's not, I don't know of many places in the world that you can go that require more than 2 connections. But some people are not interested in changing planes, and they only want the nonstop or the direct or a 1 connection. When you change this, you're limiting the scope of what the search engine can find. So these things will be more convenient, but you might not find that you get the lowest price in the market. Sometimes by changing planes, you actually will come up with a better price. One point of clarity I'd like to provide for you, and this is travel agent terminology, if you will, or travel industry terminology. Nonstop, I hear a lot of people, even in the airline industry, inappropriately use direct to nonstop interchangeably. Those are two different types of flights. So a nonstop flight is a flight where you get on a plane in point A and it goes to point B and you get off, okay? And point B being your destination. A direct flight is a flight where you go from point A and you stop somewhere, but you don't necessarily get off the plane. And then you continue your journey on to another, to your end destination, which is called point B or point C. So a direct flight means that it's not a nonstop flight. It means that it does make a stop, but you don't have to change planes. So those are 2 distinctions. And again, the less you limit, the greater or the better the prices you're going to see. So I usually keep that set to maximum connections as 2. And so we'll click now. Now, what we're doing in the background, again, is we're bundling up these search request parameters, and we're firing them off to GDSs. We're firing them off to low-cost carriers. We're firing them off to all of our consolidators. And then we're pulling all that information back into our database, and we're stitching it together to make sure that we're not showing you a duplicate, because you only want to see one flight regardless of where it's coming from. You just want to see the least expensive flight. And that's what we've done. So we bring you back a display and we show you the different prices. And in this particular market, there are 200 results that are available. And again, our primary search is by low price. So you'll see that we've got Ryanair, which is a low-cost carrier. So again, if you do this search on a lot of, I think any OTA, that you're not going to find a full host of low-cost carriers. You might find 1 or 2, but you're not going to find most. And this is InteleTravel advantage because we bring back not only the published carriers like a British Airways or American in that marketplace, but we're also bringing back the low-cost carriers. So again, we have this price search slider that we can further refine the search results. Or you could say, hey, I'm only interested in flying on a certain airline, so you can select those, and then that will change your results. You also can select number of stops. So if you want non-stops only, you can select non-stops. And then we also have the slider for your departure time. So this is your duration. So this is the amount of flight time. So you'll see that it's 2 hours and 40 minutes up to 17 hours and 50 minutes. So the 17-hour and 50-minute flight is not just a slower airplane, of course. That means you're probably changing planes somewhere. But you can You can filter those results out by simply doing this and getting down to a reasonable amount of time to fly. We also have flight departure time. So this is if you've got a client who said I can't get off work until noon. You could change this to noon. Their arrival time, if you've got people who want to arrive on at a certain time, this will work. And this is for your outbound flight. So in this example there, we're talking about the flight from London to Malaga. And then the inbound flight could also be called your return flight. This shows your departure time, again, arrival time, and the same components. Now with this particular filtering, because we've got a lot of different choices that you can filter on, we ask that you hit the apply button. So these filters don't take effect until you hit the apply button, because there's a lot of different ones that you can move, and it dynamically changes the results as we showed on the screen before. Here, just taking a look at one of your basic flights, you see the departure time that you depart from, your arrival time, 11:20. This is the amount of time it takes to fly. And then you can click in to show detail, and this will show you more detail about that particular flight. So great booking tool. And as you can see, we've got over 20 pages of results. And again, these are sorted least expensive to most expensive. But you can go in and quickly purchase your flights here, and we make it very simple. And again, these prices do include the $10. They do include the $10 service fee, which also gives your clients access to insurance as well. Or it provides them insurance. Car rentals. So car rentals are, I'm not going to go into the actual of how to book a car rental. It's pretty simple, but just a couple of things about this search engine. We've got your pickup location, and we're only doing airport locations right now. We have something in the works. There's another project to open this up to allow locations off that are not airport. So that's in the works. But you'll just enter in your pickup location, your date, the time you want to pick up. This is important because the rate is with car rentals are based on 24-hour periods and sometimes hourly periods if it's less expensive to do that way. So try to be on target with your pickup time. In your drop-off location, if you're dropping off at another airport or another city, you will find more expensive pricing because there's a drop charge. But if you're taking back to the same location, that's where you'll find your best rates. Driver's age, this is very important. Of course, the car rental companies always require to see your driver's license. And some car rental companies will not rent to people under 25. Some people will rent to people under 25 but charge a surcharge. And most of the car rental companies won't rent to anyone under 21. So make sure you put the driver's accurate age in here. It is very important. But in the background, we send out our search to multiple suppliers and bring back to you the best price that there is in the market. Pretty straightforward on the car bookings. Getting a lot of those car bookings, which is really exciting. And in terms of cruises, we've got a new cruise booking engine. We've gotten a lot of compliments on this as well. Our cruise bookings in InteleTravel have really taken off. There are lots of different cruise lines that are represented here. And we've had a lot of success with our cruise engine, and the bookings have really gone up. But we've got a great tool for you to use. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but there's ways that you can search by destination, departure port, cruise line, the actual cruise ships within those cruise lines, your dates, and the length of cruise. Today we are supporting individual bookings. We are working towards supporting the group bookings. So in a phase coming up, a new phase of the InteleTravel booking engine, you'll be able to see your group bookings with cruise lines that support integrated group bookings, and actually have your clients make payments, which I know a lot of people like, make payments on their group bookings through the engine. So we don't have that yet. It is on the board to be developed into one of our future phases. So we'll have that coming up for you, hopefully in the near future. Vacation rentals. So this is a new vertical that you guys didn't have access to, but we got a lot of requests for it, and we listened to you. And thanks to Dave Spinelli, Dave's our VP of Supplier Relations, and he does a fantastic job working with suppliers and adding suppliers. And he saw the need and went out and got a relationship with one of the largest vacation rental companies in the world, actually the largest vacation rental company in the world. Just a couple of things before we kind of get into the demo on this. A lot of people say, what is the difference between a vacation rental and a hotel room? And in general, the way I refer to it is a vacation rental is more like a condominium or a villa, if you will, than a hotel. Generally speaking, they're going to have a kitchen or maybe a kitchenette. They're going to have a living space generally. And each of these, there's, as you can see, 200,000 rental properties all over the world, so they're not standardized. But kind of in general, it's more of like an apartment condominium versus a hotel room. And these are really good solutions for families. They'll often have a washer and dryer, whether in the actual unit or available for you somewhere on the property. But they're really great for people who want to get away, people wanting to go to Disney, as an example. This is a great alternative using a vacation rental. They're not on property, but they can make the trip very, very affordable. People who are looking to save a little bit of money and maybe even prepare some of their own meals, or maybe they want to spend more time on the resort and less time kind of traveling around. This is a great alternative. The other advantage for you as an agent is this content is not as widely available as hotels. So this can give you a little leg up on your competition by having access to these. Couple of things, couple other points is these range from studios to even 3 bedrooms for some larger groups, or not groups, but larger families. They generally have 3 and 4 and 7 nights for a fixed price. So this is not the kind of place that you can go in and pick 2 nights, and there's not as much customization as you can do on the length of stay as you can with a hotel, because these are not geared to be that way. And most have Friday, Saturday, Sunday start dates. So keep that in mind. So as you're qualifying your customer, one of the things that I would always ask in the beginning is, do you have flexible dates? Because if they give you some flexibility on their dates, if they have them, you might be able to find a solution for them in the vacation rental section. And the great news is there's a 15% commission for these vacation rentals. So we'll just click into the engine, and what you do is you sort your primary sort, which this is a little bit different than a hotel booking engine because you've got fewer results possible. But you search by your region, and then once you click on the region, then we will populate the destinations within that region for you. So we'll go to Puerto Rico, which I was just at a couple of weeks ago as well. And then you choose the month. So one thing, and I did that rather quickly, but these months will light up if there's availability. So in some instances, there may not be availability. For Puerto Rico, it looks like there's a good bit of availability. But you click on the month, and then it'll show you the properties that are available during that time. So In the month of November for this year, you'll see the Royal Holiday Park Royale available. And there's lots of information. I'm not going to take you through how to look at all the information. It's pretty self-explanatory, but nice property. And they have a rate of $366 for the entire stay. Okay, so you'll see below in brackets, that's per night. So if you think about this, this is a one bedroom, accommodates 4 people. If you take 52 divided by 4, that would be about $13. So this resort is about $13 per person per night, if you want to kind of think of it in that context. The total price is $366.18. That's for everyone. That's for the entire unit for an entire week. So you can see what a great deal this is. And then if you look down to the next entry, you can get a 2-bedroom, which accommodates 6 people for only $10.20 more for the entire week. So again, that will get your price down even further on a price per person per week or per day. And you can see there's others, different properties with different ranges of prices, but it's again a great tool to use for your clients and give them a special vacation that they might not be able to find elsewhere. And again, you're making a really nice commission on these, and you'll find that you have your travelers, your clients will have a really nice experience with these properties. So that's vacation rentals, and then I also wanted to go over activities. So activities are things that you do in destination that are generally done within a day. So it might be things like a sightseeing tour. It might be a hop-on, hop-off bus. It might be tickets to SeaWorld. Could be numerous different things, but they're generally things that are done in destination and generally for the day. One thing that I always suggest agents do is if you're booking someone a package, if you're booking the air and the hotel together, or you're booking them a package through one of our preferred suppliers, like GoGo or et cetera, that you still have the opportunities to come back to this activities booking engine and offer them some things to do while they're there. Now, a couple of benefits to that. One is by you being proactive and offering these things, you're able to make yourself come across as more of an expert because you've got all this information at your fingertips, as I'm going to show you, and you can make some recommendations even if you haven't been there. Doing a little bit of research before you get your client on the phone is always a good thing. And you could come prepared and say, hey, have you ever thought about doing this? It's only $15 a day. Or have you thought about doing this? And these are things that can really enhance the experience. Then secondly, this also increases the cost of the booking, and more importantly to you, increases your commission because these are all commissionable as well. One thing that to note, though, which is really important, is any bookings done through the activity booking engine today, you'll need to load that booking into your back office to make sure that we can pay you commission on it. Okay, so this is very important. We are working towards getting this integrated, so you won't have to do that in the future. But until you hear otherwise, please register all of your activity bookings. And the activity bookings are paying out a 13% commission, which is really nice. So let's check. Let's look for some things to do maybe in London. One of my favorite cities, or actually is my favorite city, to travel to. And we'll look on October 12th. Always use my birthday as the example. So we simply enter, again, where we're going to, the city, the dates, and then it comes back with all the different opportunities. So these are sorted by the most popular tours. You can sort them by price, by rated, etc. But again, even if you haven't been to London, you probably have heard or know about Stonehenge and Windsor Castle and Bath. And again, it's a great idea. Here you can sell proactively to your clients a tour that you might not know a lot about, and enhance their experience. This is a great tour that takes you all around. It's a day tour, and it's $120 per person. Then we also have a London pass, which is a really cool way if you've never been to London to view London, because this gives you a pass that gives you access to the hop-on, hop-off buses, which are everywhere and take you all around central London. But it also gives you entry to over 80 attractions, and it's $86. And you can get multiple days on this for not a lot more. This is a great way to see London if you're doing it on your own. Here's something else, a luxury day trip to Paris. So, if you got somebody that's going over to London for the first time, maybe you want to do a day trip to Paris or offer that to them. This is taking the train over, and you have a champagne lunch. So there's lots of other things, and I won't go through all these, but there's some cool things that, again, your client probably wouldn't know about or wouldn't see, but the Harry Potter studio tour. Most of the Harry Potter series were filmed in London, in and around London. And this is a tour of the Warner Brothers studio where they filmed that. So lots of different things that you can do. Again, very easy to book. There's details, there's reviews, lots of stuff for you. And we have seen a tremendous increase in our activity sales over the past 3 months. You guys, I don't think you had access to this before, but you're embracing it. The UK audience has had, the UK agents has had this for quite some time, and they've got it ingrained into their sales process, and they're selling a lot of it as well. But really suggest you spend some time looking through this particular vertical and then adding it to your clients' trips where appropriate. All right. And just one other thing I wanted to share with you, and then we'll kind of wrap up and take some questions, is under the packages section. So we've got a lot of preferred partners, and again, Dave, hats off to Dave Spinelli. He's done a fantastic job in getting these relationships in, and then having these vendors help us out. Using our preferred partners is very important. These are specific companies that work with us, and they help us out. So they may help us out on the sales side. They may give us, a lot of these providers give us training, provide you guys free training. A lot of them will offer us heightened commissions, where we get better commissions with them than a normal travel agency would. And then we also have their sales support. So these partners also have sales support that help us with special needs or a special group booking or sometimes even a special favor. So please support these guys. It's really important. We try to funnel as much business as we can to our preferred partners, and these are some links that will take you to their individual sites where you can do some bookings. But it's very important to support them. And one thing I wanted to mention on the product side too is that we get a question about the all-inclusive resorts. You'll find some of the all-inclusive resorts in our hotel booking engine, but I would tell you definitely check with the preferred suppliers here if you're booking someone into an all-inclusive. This is the one time where they may have, it might be better to book through them because they may have an advantage in pricing or maybe even a greater commission. Apple is an example. They own some of these all-inclusive resorts that they sell. So sometimes you can find a better deal through them. And I would certainly take the time to look at those, at least to compare. And a lot of times too, with these tour operators, they'll also include transportation from the airport to the hotel. So that's one section where, or one slice of booking where I think you might be better sourced at looking at these tour operators rather than just the hotel booking engine. So those are available for you there under the packages section. Okay, so I'm going to take just a quick 30-second timeout to grab some water, and then we'll be right back to answer your questions. So bear with us just one moment, please.
Wow. Thanks, Mike. I'll wait for you to get back after you've given your throat a little bit of a rest. I've been taking some here. I've got a number of questions for you that I've got on my little notepad, and we've got this Q&A box that I've been able to flag a whole bunch of questions that are very good from our audience. And man, did we get a lot of questions. And just to let you know, Mike, we've got 1,300 people, almost 1,300 on the line right now. And I've never seen this many people. So this is a fantastic webinar. Lots of great interest, tons of great questions. I'm just going to jump in and start trying to answer some of my own. I think you're going to have to jump in and help me at some point really soon. You did a great job covering everything from air, car, and hotel. I'm surprised you had time to jump into cruise and activities and our vacation rentals. I've tried to answer many questions in the Q&A in the back office that I could, but only could get to a few. You're the expert, so I'm going to be hitting you up for some questions. One common question that came up when you were talking about the air engine was the term consolidator. So if I don't do a good job here, just jump in and interrupt me. People were asking, what is that? What is that term? An airline consolidator is a company that works with airlines across the world. They contract with them. They're airline experts, and they negotiate the best deals around. They are really, really good at finding the best fares and the best connections, and putting together combinations of different airlines under one reservation. So we're using the best of the best in the industry, if you will. I think I've heard Mike say it a couple times. We use the consolidator of consolidators. We've got an airline partner, a company that does our ticketing for us that works with consolidators around the world. So there's ticketing offices literally all over the place. And because of that, they've got deals with local airlines as well as national and international airlines for the best deals out there. Mike, I think I heard you chiming in there. I'm hoping you're back. There was another question about a term that was used, a NAP plan or an RO when you were talking about hotels. Can you address some of the terminology of some of these room types and plans that you referred to?
Sure, I'll be glad to. Thanks, Dave. So RO is room only. EP, which you might see sometimes, is European plan, which means the same thing as room only. You don't get anything. There's MAP, so that's like Michael, Alice, Peter, and that stands for Modified American Plan, which means that you would receive, or the guests would receive, breakfast and dinner. And then there is AI, which is all inclusive, which generally means it includes all their meals, all their drinks, and sometimes the entertainment as well.
Oh, thanks, Mike. And since we're on air, I'm going to try and get to as many of these as I can. Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking about hotels there. Let's talk about hotels. The one question that came up, a comment a few times, was room details, room photos. They're looking for more detail about the room, and I know that we've been working on some stuff in the background to try and improve that. Can you address some of the details that are there and where we get our content and how that all comes together?
Yeah, sure. So the content comes from the hotels and the providers, the hotel providers themselves. And as you guys know, we're connected to Expedia, Booking.com, Agoda, lots of other resources where we collect the data, we sort through it, we make it comprehensive, and we choose the best of the best, and then that's what we provide. Now, we do realize, however, that we've kind of missed the mark on that. So even though we're getting all the data, we've probably parsed it out too much, meaning we've kind of cut too much out. So we are in the middle of a project, which I heard today we're pretty close to having completed, that is going to provide more content on the hotels themselves, So there's going to be more in the terms of descriptions. There's going to be more photos, and most importantly, there's going to be more and better, clear information at the room type level. So where we show the room. So we heard from you guys that we were missing the mark a little bit. And we've been working on this project for a little over 2 months now. And we hope to have something rolling out in the very near future that will improve upon that.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks. I've got a lot to go through here. I'm realizing it's the top of the hour, but if you'll bear with me, I'd like to spend at least 5 or 10 more minutes going through questions here because we have so much ground to cover, and we'll do our best to get to everything. But I have to tell you, we're not going to get to every single question, guys. I'll try and stick around for as long as I can afterwards, or I will stick around for as long as I can afterwards, addressing some of these questions and hopefully getting some info out of Mike. But we will have to end the webinar soon. So let's talk about air, Mike. A lot of questions about the $10 charge on airline tickets, and does it appear on the credit card statement? Is it quoted up front and the information that you give to the consumer? What's that all about?
So the company InteleTravel made the decision to implement a $10 fee in the U.S. and in the U.K. it's actually £10 fee for it's basically a service fee because, as most of you know, the vast majority of airline tickets do not pay a commission, and is really very few do. So the company has decided to charge this fee, which is commissionable back to you, so you do earn your portion out of it. But it's a service fee for you helping your clients out. And in addition, that service fee also gives us the ability to buy and provide to the customer $200,000 worth of flight accident insurance. So that becomes part of the sale. And yes, it is quoted within the prices that you see on the site itself.
Okay, and that leads to another question, Mike. Thanks for that answer. But about flight insurance, what is covered, and at what point does somebody need to get additional insurance when selling an airline ticket?
Well, the additional insurance has to do with, the client's risk tolerance. So that one I don't know that I can answer directly, other than you need to use your best judgment along with the desires of the client to see when to provide or help them acquire additional flight insurance. The insurance that's provided is a flight accident insurance, so it's not a cancellation insurance. It's a policy that covers the traveler on the way to the airport as well as while they're in flight. So it's an accident insurance.
Okay, thank you. Questions about Southwest. Sometimes they find it, sometimes they don't, at least from a couple of reports that we're seeing. They're looking for it and they can't find it, or they've seen it and then they can't find it again, I think, for a different search on a different date. Can you speak to our connectivity with Southwest Airlines?
Yeah, so we do cover Southwest as well as many of the other, or most of the other low-cost carriers. With the low-cost carriers, it's kind of a complex answer, and I'm trying to shorten this in my head. With the legacy carriers, American, Delta, British Airways, those guys, they come through a GDS channel, which is very stable. That's how most of their airline tickets are booked. Some of the low-cost carriers are not quite as stable, our connection to them. It's kind of unusual for them to provide access to their inventory. So there are times when it can be a little, what I would call, wiggy. But the results are there. We ask for the results, and as long as their connection is working, you'll see the results. But it does happen from time to time that you won't see their results, and you can try refreshing your page. Sometimes that works, but in general, they should be there.
Great. And a couple questions came in about baggage. Some airlines charge for baggage, some don't. Some charge for you to bring on a laptop. There's jokes that some would charge you to go to the bathroom. How can we get information about baggage fees? through our flight engine?
So there is some information that is posted within the system. It's not what I would call totally complete. We are working on in one of our upcoming releases to bring more of that data. It's just not an easy thing to do because the airlines don't publish it in a consistent, coherent way that can translate, that we can push back through currently. So we're doing our best, but the answer I would give you if you're offering advice to a client is just to go look on the individual airline website if you don't see it on the InteleTravel site. And that's the best place to get that information until we do have our new phase rolled out with the baggage info.
Great, great. And a question came in, and I get confused on this terminology myself sometimes, but what did you mean when you were talking about direct versus nonstop and, legs on an airline search tool that you've got there? What does that mean, direct and nonstop?
So direct means you get on a plane and you get off the plane in a destination, but that plane may make another stop. That's a direct flight, but you don't have to change planes. A nonstop flight is you get on a plane and the next time you get off is at your destination. That's the difference between those two words.
Okay, great. Hey, I'm going to get to a couple generic questions and then I'm going to dive into some other ones. One, client quotes. People are wondering, once they find this information, it's all great. Is there any way to get a quote to a client or email the client information out of our platform?
Currently, we don't have that ability. That is something that is on our enhancement list that we know you guys want, and we want to provide it for you. So it is. We definitely have listened to that, and we do have it on our enhancement radar. Just don't have a date for that yet.
Great. You might give the same answer for this next question. 3 or 4 people were asking about mobile compatibility. They'd like to be able to use IntelliSearch on a mobile device, tablet or phone.
Yeah, so the search is responsive. So it is. It will work on a mobile device or tablet. I have used it.
Okay.
So it will work.
Oh, okay, great. So that's a plus. Thank you. Talking about vacation rentals, you went through that. We got a bunch of questions, some similar to the others, but they're asking about the content. I know you mentioned their condominiums usually, but they're asking specifically about VRBO, HomeAway content, and Airbnb. Is that included?
So Airbnb is definitely not. I will tell you though that we don't have VRBO content today. We do have some exciting information that we're going to be talking about in the coming weeks that might change that conversation a little bit. But it's not available today. But I will tell you a lot of similar content to Airbnb can be found through the hotel booking engine. So our partner Booking.com has hostel, and I didn't actually. That reminds me, I didn't go over that when I was talking about the hotel piece. But in our hotel piece, it's not just your Holiday Inns and your Hyatts anymore. It's hostels, it's pensions, it's apartment rentals, just like an Airbnb would be. And some other unique inventory that we're pulling through from our partners at Booking.com. So there's some of that integrated into the hotel search as well. But we don't have the VRBO content today in the platform. We do have a lot of plans for increasing the offerings through the vacation rental platform, though. So please stay tuned for that.
Good. Thanks, Mike. One question that's been coming up recurring is payments. They're looking for ways for agents to make payments on behalf of the consumer, monthly payments, for example, or deposits or pay on multiple credit cards, that type of thing. And I've answered a few of these, Mike, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's a point of sale system, except for cruise, where you can put down a deposit on a cruise, and then usually there's maybe a couple payments due, or at least one final payment that's due. Our system, air, car, hotel, etc., it's all pay up front, and pay in full. There is some, maybe you can address this with some of the hotels where it's book now, pay later, but it's still, correct me if I'm wrong, it's still one full payment that has to be made on the booking itself.
No, you're right. You're right. We are going to expand the book now, pay later feature in this upcoming hotel release that should be coming out in a few weeks. So that will change things a little bit. And those are generally book now and pay at the hotel when you check in. The other thing, if your client really needs, if payments are kind of a requirement for your client, there are tour wholesalers, and you can see on the screen if that's still up, Apple and Delta Vacations. This is they have programs where you can put down a deposit, and your clients can pay along the way, or they can make their final payment 45 or 60 days prior to departure. So those tour operators are adept at handling those type programs. But you're right, our system is a point of sale system, which generally requires payment up front, certainly for all the air and for a lot of the hotels.
And I will say we don't have a payment system, but I will hint that InteleTravel is looking into a vacation financing program. We're searching far and wide. There's several companies out there. We're in discussions. We don't have anything ready for launch today, tomorrow, or in the coming months, but we hope by the end of the year we could bring something to market that would cover this request. We got it over and over on this call. I saw several questions about it, and we've been hearing from our agents. We're listening, and we're working on it. Don't ask me that it's coming out tomorrow, and don't tell anybody that I told you it's coming out tomorrow, because we don't have any firm date or firm launch plans. But it's very important for us to offer vacation financing for our agents to sell to their consumers, and so keep an eye on InteleTravel for that. Mike, I've got a few other questions here. I'm just going to refer back to the ones that I flagged. Is there a difference in the booking through InteleTravel booking engine or booking with booking.com? Another question that I had seen was, are all the rates from Expedia in there and booking.com? Do I need to go and search those websites as well and compare against what we've got? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so the last question, so we have the full complement of pricing from our partners. So anything that is available on their site, you should find on our site. And it could be true in some cases that we actually have even better pricing than what you can find on some of our partner sites.
Right.
So yes, we should be highly competitive, and we have a huge inventory, and Dave does a great job of sharing a report with the executive team each week about the sales compared to last week, last month, etc. And we're having just some huge increases, or have had some huge increases since the new booking engine has launched fully in May. For hotel sales, I mean, numbers that this company has never seen before.
Yeah, and they continue to grow very rapidly. Hey, more questions, Mike. What if a customer has a preference and the hotel's not showing up? The assumption is it's sold out. Is that necessarily the case? Could we call the hotel for the most up-to-date availability?
Yeah, you certainly can. I would say there's a good chance the hotel is sold out if it's not showing. Again, we're pulling hotels from, I think 9 suppliers right now. And so we're asking all 9 of those, does the hotel have any availability? So it could be, that 1 or 2 maybe get it wrong, but I don't think all 9 are going to get it wrong. There are, however, or there can be in some instances, some hotels might hold back a couple of rooms. So it never hurts if you've got a client who's just dying to be in that hotel to give them a call. But I would say, again, normally it would not be the case if we're not showing it. It probably doesn't have availability.
Mike, another question. When it comes to searching and filtering, is there an ability to search by all-inclusive only?
Yes. So in the bottom of this is something we're actually adding. We discussed it actually on our executive call today. Not today, to answer that exactly correctly, but with this new hotel rollout, it will be, and it will be in the bottom left-hand corner of the filters. And today, that section shows room only, I think, is the only option. But as all inclusives, as that is upgraded, excuse me, that functionality is upgraded, then you'll start to see all inclusives there. Now, just be careful, guys, because all inclusives are not available everywhere. I mean, you're not going to find any all inclusives in Dallas or Memphis or New York City. You're going to find them in places like in the Caribbean, Mexico, Spain, and resort areas who kind of adopted this. But not a lot of places are going to have all inclusives.
Mike, we got a few more questions about accessing their bookings and combining transactions. So, one of the questions is there anything in the works for us to be able to access the bookings we have made in the back office? And a related question that I saw was, can we put together a hotel and an air ticket and sell it as a package or put it as one transaction? Can you speak to those points?
So can we put the hotel and air into one transaction? The answer is no. That is on our enhancement path. So that is scheduled for delivery. I don't have a date in front of me, but yes, we are have that as an enhancement. The ability to look up bookings in the back office, you should be able to see those. If you've made those bookings through the InteleTravel site, you should be able to look through your reporting tool, and you should see those. Now, I don't know that you probably can't modify them from there. You might have to call customer service to do that, but you should be able to see all of your post bookings in your commission report, as a matter of fact.
That's right, Mike. In the commission report, I don't know what the lag is, if it's instantaneous or if it's a day or two later, but you're right. All of your booking transactions will be in there so you can track your commissions. One other question that's come up about hotel, do the rates include the taxes or fees, or are these in addition to the price seen on the website?
The hotels would include taxes and fees unless it states otherwise. And if you look through some of the hotels, they will state that they do not.
Okay.
And most of the time, those are the postpaid hotels where you're going to pay for them at the hotel.
Okay, very good. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just searching through and trying to find some more questions. I'm going to wrap it up in just a couple of minutes, guys, but we've got so many questions in here. I want to be sure we can get to all of them.
Yep.
One question is, why do I have to fill out a credit card authorization form for airline purchases for the client? Can you address that, Mike?
Yeah, so ultimately, you guys are responsible ultimately for any credit card fraud from your customers. This is a step that we put into place that has minimized airline fraud. I mean, here's the unfortunate thing, guys, is in the travel business, the thing that carries the highest fraud risk is airline tickets. And oddly enough, it's the thing that we as travel agents don't really make any money on. I mean, as discussed, there's a $10 service fee on which you get a commission on, and occasionally there's a commission, but don't count on it, right? There could be some commission. But yet the airlines hold us accountable for any kind of fraud, even though they don't really pay us, which I find really ironic. So yes, this is an extra step of fraud prevention. We have almost a 0% fraud rate. It is really, really low. Those forms are inconvenient. Trust me, I don't disagree, but they're there for a purpose, and that purpose is to protect you and to protect the InteleTravel house, to make sure that we don't get caught with a bunch of fraudulent transactions.
Yep, that's a real good point, Mike. And I do want to add, although it's not related directly to fraud, but selling insurance is very important. We talked about insurance earlier. We do have insurance on our airline tickets, but for the cars and hotels, etc., you do want to sell your traveler some insurance, and that's a very important part of travel sales, is that you make sure that your clients are covered. God forbid anything happens to them before, during, or after the trip. Make sure that things are covered. And I think you addressed, I'm going to just do one last question, because I know groups are very important to our agents. Will there be a group bookings opportunity coming soon? We mentioned that about cruise, but what about the rest of InteleSearch, Mike?
Groups are really hard to process online. And when I say hard, it's not technologically hard. It's just that because they're so unique and each one tends to be different, there's not really a common thread. So there's not a great source of really handling group bookings. And also the third-party providers aren't able to hold as much inventory. So if you're looking for hotel inventory and you were to call an Expedia or Priceline or whoever, they're not going to have 50 rooms at a hotel. They're going to refer you to call the hotel directly. So in reality, no, I don't think so. We're always looking for ways to improve the process and improve the agent experience, but I don't see that as anything coming in the near future.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. This has really been great. It really has been amazing. You've provided so much wonderful details. Again, everybody, I know you've been taking notes, but this whole thing is going to be recorded and available in the Intellis tutorial section in your back office if you missed that announcement at the beginning. So hats off to you, Mike. This has been really fantastic. I'm going to stick around for about 10 more minutes and answer some of these questions. If you can see the Q&A section, Mike, in your setup, I'm not sure if you can. Feel free to jump on and answer a couple of the questions. I'm going to answer a few, but do know that our support center is open for you 12 hours a day. You have access to us via chat, via Facebook, via email, via telephone, and that email address is customer service at InteleTravel.com. So if you didn't get your question answered tonight, feel free to send us an email and we'll try to get to as best we can. So hats off to you, Mike. Thank you very much for providing such a great and wonderful and informative webinar for us tonight.
Well, thank you, Dave. And I want to thank all you attendees. I mean, this really shows your commitment to yourself and to the business overall, sticking around. I know it's late for those of us on the East Coast, and almost the same number of people were on this at the peak or in the middle of the webinar that are still there today. So this speaks volumes about your commitment, and the only way you're going to get better and be a great travel agent is learning. And please take advantage of all these educational opportunities as you guys are doing. So thank you so much. It was my pleasure to be able to speak to you tonight. Dave, thank you as always, and I'm going to sign off. So good night, folks.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mike. Our expert, Mike Putnam, helping us out tonight. I'm Dave Spinelli saying good night from InteleTravel. Have a great evening, everybody. Thanks for your time today.